Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. If there is a football season this year, the team everybody's going to watch is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First it was TB Tom Brady to TB Tampa Bay, and now, not to my surprise, he's going to be joined by Rob-Gronkowski, who was traded along with a 7th-round pick for a 4th in this upcoming draft. The Buccaneers games will be must-see TV, as I said before, if they hadn't already gained that award. As for New England, they already decided Brady was gone and Gronk had retired. Bill Belichick figured if they're going to give me and just hand me a 4th and give up basically nothing, hey, I'm all in. Now let's see if there are any games for them to play in. We've got Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine in its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. We say hello to our friend Bud Shaw. Hello, Bud.
Great to be with you, Les, as always.
Yeah, it's great to be with you also. Are you in any way, shape, or form surprised that Gronk has ended his retirement?
Well, I hadn't heard anything about it for a while, so that was the only reason it took me by surprise. But I'm not shocked that he saw where Brady went and wanted to give that one more shot, especially since it's in a warm weather climate.
Yeah, he'd have been hanging out there anyway, so he may as well play football, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I saw somebody wrote it today, Les, that, you know, he didn't retire from football. He retired from Bill Belichick, apparently. and you know, it sounds a little snarky, but I'll bet after that many years in that system, you know, he never was a guy who actually, you know, who exactly fit what Belichick wanted out of a player. I don't mean on the field, obviously he did, but off the field, you know, he's that kind of party animal guy. And I'm sure that they butted heads on more than the occasions that we even think we know about.
You know, Edelman was a party guy too off the field, so that's kind of surprising. The two, which might have helped Brady kind of get past the Bill Belichick's theories of coaching.
Yeah, we got so used to that group being together that, you know, when you step back from it, it's a pretty amazing run, especially Brady Belichick. But 20 years together? I mean, that's just unheard of in this league. So I'm really intrigued by it. You know, it's another reason to hope that things are at least somewhat back to normal this fall, where they can play a season. And that's going to be, as you called it, must-see TV. That's going to be one of the teams that everybody checks every Sunday.
Yeah, no question about that. Do you think that, I mean, you just threw it out there, is that based on truth that nobody's ever gone 20 years, same coach and same player? That's probably true.
Yeah, I guess maybe back in
George Halas days.
First of all, it's hard. Yeah, but it's hard to find a coach that's lasted that long, let alone a quarterback.
Right.
I'm sure Halas and guys like that would come close, but that's the amazing thing, you know, that both of those guys in the two hottest seat positions in football ended up hanging together and being as successful as they were.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at realleslavine@gmail.com. Bud Shaw is with us. Tomorrow night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Thursday will be our special draft coverage, the More Sports and Les-Levine official draft coverage, beginning at 8 o'clock. That'll be on Thursday. Former general manager of the Redskins, Scott McLaughlin, is talking about the tackles in the draft coming up. And he says Trent Williams, who didn't play last year at all because of the injury, he says he's still better than he would be the first tackle taken in this draft. I'm not sure I understand that, because you're looking at a guy who is not draft eligible. You're talking about a veteran with as many years. He is 31, so I'm not sure if you think you can get as many years out of him as you would one of the 4 draftees. He said he'd be the first tackle taken in this year's draft, hands down. And you bring him in, you're going to get 3 to 4 years out of him. Well, hopefully you'll get more than 3 to 4 years out of one of the 4 tackles coming out of college. So, what do you think about Trent Williams, and if the Browns should go after him?
Well, he might be the first tackle taken if he came in making what rookie tackles are going to make.
Right.
But he comes in asking for the kind of money he was asking for in Washington. I'm not sure that that's the case. The other part of that to me is, okay, you look at a guy who's a 7-time Pro Bowler. Sure, he'd be taking over a guy who hasn't proven anything in the league yet, at the age of 31. Now, if he were 35, people would say, no way, we're not going to do that. I still like the idea of drafting a young tackle with Bill Callahan in place and having that guy for the next 8 to 10 years. That would be my preference if they feel as strongly about some of these tackles as other national, draft so-called experts do.
Well, you're talking about Joe Thomas, basically, if you want 8 to 10 years out of the guy at that level.
Yeah, I mean, if Joe Thomas if that were available to you this year, and the other option was, let's not forget now that it's easy to say Trent Williams would be the first tackle taken in the draft, but that's not how you have to acquire him. You have to acquire him now by giving up something for him.
You got to trade for him.
Yeah, so it sounds like an interesting statement on the surface, but it's not a realistic one for teams to even ponder. I think you give up too much. If Washington's smart, they don't just give them away. And I would still think it's going to take at least a 2 and probably a fairly high 2 for Washington to move him. They may just take their chances and hope that he'll come and play for a new coach in Ron Rivera.
I heard Jason La Canfora on radio today on 92.3 The Fan, and he was talking about the young coach, the new coaches, and everybody assumes everything's going to fall into place. But his point was that in Cleveland's case with Stefanski and other cases, he'll be introducing himself to many of these players for the first time. He hasn't seen them, he's seen them on film, but he hasn't seen them in the locker room, in the cafeteria, or anything like that. There's one theory that the Browns are young and Ivy League and ready for the new age here, social media and however they're going to handle this. But La Canfora didn't think that would be of any advantage. What do you think?
Is he speaking as far as the draft goes?
And the fact that there won't be much, a lot of virtual stuff and not real hands-on coaching, and he thinks that's not something to be taken lightly.
Well, I don't know. We've done this before with coaches where we've given them. We just did it recently with Freddie Kitchens in another way, saying that he'd had those games at the end of Baker Mayfield's rookie year, to really get to know his personnel. And when push came to shove on Sundays, it looked like he didn't even know his personnel or didn't want to know some of those guys. Right. He certainly didn't want to know Njoku or Rashard Higgins. So I think I think Jason's take on it is, while I know he knows what he's talking about, is a little overblown in this. I think everybody's going to be at the same disadvantage in that they don't have their players for this off-season training program in any kind of real way. And I would think that if you know your players and you've had success and they know you, that would give those teams an advantage. And Stefanski's not there yet. It's through no fault of his own.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us, and we'll take your phone calls. I know you want to talk about the draft. Let's do it. You'll also be able to do that on Thursday night before and after the Browns pick, which should be an hour and 15 minutes into the show and into the proceedings. That'll be on Thursday night. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. We asked you a Facebook question of the day. You responded. We'll get them on a little bit later. Bud and I return in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today: Facelift, born in 1947. Jesse Orozco, you always remember him throwing up his glove after the Mets won the World Series. Ken Caminiti, here's Tony Romo, born in 1980. Tavares Jackson, and Jock Peterson, who I was hoping the Indians were going to gather sometime in the offseason, but that is not the case. He's with the Los Angeles Dodgers. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. Bud, the Browns have drafted some first-round linemen over the years. There's been some good, bad. I don't know about ugly, but good and bad. They had a pretty good stretch from 2007 to 2014. Haven't done so well since 2015. Let's take a look at the good here as far as picking offensive linemen. You put that group together, you're going to have, if they ever play together, that would be one of the great offensive lines of all time. Joe Thomas, Alex Mack, Mitchell Schwartz, and Joel Bitonio, 4 out of the 5. The bad continues as we take a look at Cameron-Erving, Sean Coleman, and Austin-Corbett. And that's just from 2015. And round 1, round 3, and round 2 in that. Cameron-Erving was the 19th pick in the draft. People in Kansas City would say, what are you complaining about? He's pretty good. So, well, he did turn out pretty good. Just shows.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, the misnomer about the Browns offensive line, you know, when they've gone through years where they just haven't been very good, you know, people bang the table and say, they've got to draft, you know, offensive linemen higher in the draft. Well, that list just showed it there, Les. That wasn't the problem. I mean, they were drafting pretty high draft pick, pretty high tackles and guards and centers, drafting them in the first, second, and third round for a number of years now. So whatever it was, it really wasn't that. It's not like they were taking a bunch of street free agents and throwing them together and seeing where they got. So hopefully this time with the talent that's already there, with a high pick, if they use that number 10 pick, and with Bill Callahan here, and with maybe the chance that he stays for a few years, they'll have that continuity that every team is looking for.
You know, at one point, Andrew Berry said, well, right tackles and left tackles, they're interchangeable. He didn't say interchangeable, but I think he meant it. Do you subscribe to that? If you're looking at a lineman who played on the right side, do you think a young draftee, all of a sudden you can throw him on the left and say, go protect the backside of our quarterback?
Well, not initially, for sure. You know, I think it's going to be a transition for anybody in the league to make that switch, let alone a guy coming right out of college. I don't trust much of what I hear from, not just Andrew Berry, I'm just saying any of these GMs at this time of year, because you just don't know what they're, year after year we do this, we parse everything that they say leading up to drafts, and then they do something that's totally different than what they said. So I'm just, you know, kind of interested to see where they go with it. I think they tried to shore up the right side in free agency for a reason. I think they felt they could do it more cheaply than to sign a big, you know, name left tackle like Trent Williams. And I think they're going to go for their, you know, franchise left tackle in this draft. I'll be surprised if they don't.
Do you think that being the youngest GM in the league and in the league's history, that Andrew Berry's going to want to make a mark here? And you don't make a mark for yourself if you just go and pick the best guy on the board who happens to be a guy a position that you need. Do you think he can hold himself back from saying, well, I think if I trade up and trade down and move over here and do this, that I'll let the league know that almost like Lewis, or not Lewis, Hugh Jackson, almost like he's saying Hugh Jackson's here, baby. Do you see that in Andrew Berry at all?
Doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Plus, I think he certainly is a guy who embraces the Paul D. Podesta side of the building. So I think whatever decision he makes as a GM in this draft is going to be pretty well founded and supported by the other side of the building, if that's what we want to call it. So I really would be surprised if he goes rogue to try to prove a point. He just doesn't strike me as that kind of personality.
If you talk about the other side of the building, how much analytics take place when you have, let's say, your choice is the best tackle available, or if Simmons is still available, get him. Is that analytics, or is that just gut feeling? Is that just football players?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you certainly what's happened here in the past is they've never sold each other on their approach. So what we've had is Hugh Jackson, getting an opinion, getting a player that he wants. Before that, we had, Ray Farmer would give his head coach one pick, or he'd take the other pick. It just has not been a harmonious situation. And I think this has a chance to be that. So no one should think for a second that this coaching staff doesn't have his antenna out for the fact that analytics has really driven the transition from coaches this year. And I think coaching staffs all come in here thinking the same thing. If we win, we'll get more, clout, and we'll get to be the guy who decides, in certain situations who the player is. And they're willing to, during the interview period, they're willing to embrace the idea of analytics because that's the only way they're going to get the job.
Sure.
But I think Stefanski's willing to let it, be part of what they do. And this coaching staff is willing to listen to an extent, but they still want football players that they believe in that may not check all the boxes on an analytics or a pro football focus side.
Right. Well, it's not fair, and I think I'm guilty of it, or the show is guilty of it, that we say, well, the Browns did this in whatever year, and they did that in whatever year. It's a totally new regime here. The fact that they were orange helmets that the players were wearing doesn't give you the excuse that the last three regimes didn't do it right either.
Yeah, and I think specifically that pertains to Andrew Berry. I don't think it's fair to throw him into a pool of, if you're an anti-Sashi Brown believer, I don't think it's really fair to throw him into that. He wasn't in a position of a decision-making position of power here. And the other part of that is that they were so clearly trying to, I wouldn't say tank because that brings up a whole nother discussion, but I would say they were so clearly trying to amass draft pick capital that they were not as interested in bringing in the best players in each draft, and the same in free agency. So I just don't think, I think starting now, it's more than fair to judge Andrew Berry on what he's doing, regardless of whether Paul D. Podesta is supporting it or not supporting it. This is his team now, and he should be judged that way.
Well, when I said that it's kind of unfair, it's whether it's number one or number five reasons for Andrew Berry to want to do well. One is to do better than the guys did before. I think that's pretty simple.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be that hard, right?
It shouldn't be that hard. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Thursday night, you can hear it all and watch it all with us. Thursday, April 23rd at 8 p.m., it's the More Sports and Les-Levine Draft Special. You can join me along with Dave Bacon and the cleveland.com staff as we break down the NFL Draft. That'll be Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Northeast Factory Direct, East, West, and South. They've got their locations there and the lowest price guarantee. You buy something from them and find out it's cheaper somewhere else in the next year, Alex will refund the money right on the spot. We'll come on back in a moment with Bud Shaw. We'll continue our discussions. We'll find out who the best tackle is in the 2020 draft, at least as far as the Browns are concerned. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a little Bacon Bits NFL Draft Preview Edition. Browns fans want the Browns to get the next Joe Thomas with the 10th pick in this year's NFL Draft. Tristan-Wirfs from Iowa, Andrew Thomas from Georgia, Jedrick-Wills from Alabama, and Mekhi-Becton from Louisville are the possibilities. Time to play a quick Do You Know This Offensive Lineman the Browns drafted from their NFL Draft scouting reports. This player began his career as a defensive lineman, moved to offensive tackle and then to center. Has great versatility and athleticism. Has long arms that keeps defenders off his body. Shuffles and slides well, is tough and won't back down. Agile enough to get to the second level and is accurate with his hands. Weaknesses? Very raw. Has not learned to use his arms effectively in pass blocking. Is not comfortable as a combination blocker, and hasn't fully grasped the concept of angles and leverage inside. This was the NFL scouting report for Cam-Erving, who could never put everything together for the Browns, but won a Super Bowl ring for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. Here's another draft scouting report for an offensive lineman the Browns drafted. Strengths, NFL ready. High football IQ and awareness. Good athlete with great lateral agility. Plays with burst and body control. Can lock on and drive linebackers in the run game. Weaknesses. Arm length is average. Bench press numbers 19 at 225 pounds, well below the NFL threshold. Surrenders chest to long arm defenders. Gets set up by double moves and will get caught off balance. That was the NFL Draft scouting report for Austin-Corbett, who the Browns gave up on last year and traded away. One more offensive lineman that the Browns drafted his scouting report to look at. Strengths, a near-perfect tackle prospect. Athletic, great heart, toughness. The type of attitude every team wants. Phenomenal pass blocker, steamroller in the run game. Gets downfield to make big plays on long running plays. Weaknesses. Could stand to get bigger, is more of a technician than a killer. An added note, this scout felt that he would be a rock on the offensive line for 10 years. That was the NFL Draft scouting report for the aforementioned Joe Thomas, who was a rock at left tackle for the Browns and is in line to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Could one of the 4 top tackle prospects in this year's NFL Draft that the Browns are looking at be the next Joe Thomas? Maybe, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Job by Dave Bacon on that, the Bacon Bits. All right. So, yeah, Bud, when you look at that, you say, when you see the strengths, you say, wow, this guy's really good. And then you see the weaknesses and said, there's no way this guy's ever going to make it in the NFL. It's a good thing they have balanced thoughts on these guys.
Yeah, all those scouts really cover themselves when it comes down to the weaknesses, right? If they have a GM going to make a pick, they at least, if it doesn't work out, they want to at least be able to go back and point to a paragraph that says, "See, I told you there could be problems."
Yeah.
The last mock draft I saw, I believe it was Kuiper. I'm not positive though. The way the draft broke, I think, really was a benefit to the Browns if it does happen that way, because I think it had Arizona taking Wirfs with the first pick, the first tackle pick of the draft being Arizona at number 8. So if that's the case, and the Browns are sitting there with all the tackles on the board, I'd say that they're almost certainly going to go in that direction. The only way I could see them trading down less is if something crazy happens and Wirfs is gone, Thomas is gone, Becton's gone, and suddenly they don't fall in love with the fourth guy. So I think they're going to pick where they're at. I think teams love defense and big playmakers, and I think some of those guys are going to go earlier in this draft than we think.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Santa Clara, California. Hello, go ahead. You're on the air. Thank you. Hello.
Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Les, I just want to thank you for that wonderful graphic you had last week about the many times we have traded down for garbage. And I have a suggestion that you should have a graphic of all the times we traded up for garbage, which will really break your heart.
Well, when you have a record like the Browns have had for the last 20 years, you can't be on the positive side too often on those kind of ups and downs.
Well, two of those, Bill, would be Trent Richardson and Justin Gilbert, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't trade up far for those guys, but they certainly traded up to get them. And in Gilbert's case, crazy as it sounds, they hadn't even met the guy yet.
Unbelievable.
Or talk to his coaches, his college coach and his high school coaches, who later on, said if they had just talked to us, we would have told them, no way, this guy is not a football player. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So,
and while that wasn't with Richardson, I heard who was the lineman who was here last, Jason Pinkston?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard him being interviewed on radio the other day, and they were asking him about Trent Richardson. And he was, it's not like he saw the warning signs. He talked about being at a grocery store the day that he got the Twitter announcement or whatever it was, saying that they had traded him to the Colts. And he was as shocked, and he said all of his teammates felt the same way. But clearly they knew, and the players didn't. So whatever it was about him, I don't think I don't think it revealed itself at the draft, because I think I was lobbying for him to get picked high, because I thought he was that rare running back who could stay on the field for all 3 downs. He wouldn't have to come off. In retrospect, that was a dumb take, because I just don't believe in taking these guys that high anymore.
I had a different take. I just thought he was good, and I liked the pick. So so we were in the same camp on that.
What do you think on that one, Bill?
Yeah.
Bill,
who do you want them to take? If the thing falls the way it should, and it comes to the Browns pick, and the guys that you think are going to be gone are gone, who would you like your first pick to be?
Well, of course, if Simmons is around, you probably have to take him. But the one guy I don't like, I like the top 3 tackles. I have a really bad feeling about the big guy. And now he just tested positive,
Right.
So
you
can't
think
wait a month,
If they don't take him, do you think that they were turned off by that, or they weren't going to take him anyway? I mean, it's not a big deal it's not a big deal anymore. The NFL sort of allows you to do it.
Right. No, and it's legal here in California, so what the heck? But it just shows a appalling lack of judgment and discipline.
Right.
And, the guy's big. Yeah, he's big and he runs fast. But I just have a bad feeling about him. I think he's too big. Remember Chris Pike? Remember him?
Yeah.
The guy was huge, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, but he wasn't that fast. He wasn't that fast. Although I don't know how you have to be that fast at that position. You just got to move guys out of the way.
The thing is, they draft these people. Of course, the cornerback we got. That they just don't care about football.
Right.
They're not. They don't love the game, and if you don't love the game, you should not be playing for.
It's too hard a game.
Football.
It's too hard a game not to like to play.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how fast you run or how you dominate in college because it's just a totally different game, and we have so many of those guys that they look good and they're just not football players. So.
All right, Bill, thank you for the call. Stay with us on Thursday night. We'll have it all for you, okay?
I will be there. Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you, Bill, from Santa Clara, California. Explore your interests and find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future at Tri-C. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information about Cuyahoga Community College. Bud Shaw and I are halfway through. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. 2012, White Sox pitcher Philip Humber throws the 21st perfect game in MLB history as Chicago defeats Seattle by a score of 4-0. Another example of a guy you never heard of before or after a perfect game. 216-575-0403. Bud Shaw with us. Bud, have you ever seen a perfect game or a no-hitter in person?
No, but I've got a hit off somebody who threw one.
Len Barker.
Yeah, and the reason I can say that, Les, is that he doesn't remember it. So he would have no idea whether I'm telling the truth or not.
I've had this conversation with my ex-teammate Steve Stone, who won the Cy Young Award in 1980. And he said when he used to come back to Cleveland, there was always some guy, played at some other school or Sandlot, said, I beat you. I drove in the winning run with a double in the bottom of the ninth inning. Or you weren't that good. You gave up. I got 3 hits off you. And finally, he just said, "Look, if everybody got as many hits off me that they say they do, how would I have ever made the major leagues?"
It's a good point.
Yeah, your story, which does bear repeating, though, I think it's the greatest hitting story of all time. When you were in high school in Philadelphia at the City Series, and you gave up back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches to identical twins. You can't get better than what?
You've got 2 stories mixed up. That happened in Little League. The game that was the Catholic League championship game at Philadelphia Veterans Stadium.
Yeah.
I didn't get into that game because I was warming up in the bullpen, and when the phone rang, I couldn't find the phone.
Right, it was under the tarp.
So which of those stories is worse, but I have to admit to both of them. So,
wow. So if you back-to-back home runs to identical twins on consecutive pitches,
in a Little League game. I was very popular at their house that summer.
Little League game, I don't care what kind of game it is. Just doing that is baseball history at its finest. Unbelievable. 216-575-0403. In the last week since you were here last, rumors both ways on Odell Beckham Jr., whether he wants out, doesn't want out. I think some of these guys, Bud, are using that low-hanging fruit theory that they just throw Cleveland out there and it's going to gain some legs. I don't hear stuff like this about other teams. Am I too close to the scene here in Cleveland, or am I correct that it happens more here than other places?
Say this in defense of the guys who are reporting this or tweeting it or whatever they're doing. You know, this is the kind of situation that happened in New York, right? He was being rumored to want out and them to want to trade him, and eventually it did happen. So I don't think these guys are, at least the writers I know, wouldn't just make something up out of thin air. Now they may be getting bad information. I believe the Browns when they say that they're not going to trade him to Minnesota, or that there was nothing to that particular trade. But I don't believe them if they're going to say that there's nothing that would make them trade him before the season starts. Because I think if somebody on draft day came up with, a really attractive package, I think they'd be dumb not to do it.
And under the circumstances with Stefanski, who has been in Minnesota for so long, I'm not sure it would be unheard of if there was conversation between the two teams about a myriad of players or possibility.
Yeah, it's just when you hear DePodesta come out that strongly and say that it's totally, completely false, I don't know him to be. I've known him to misspeak and to say things like Carson Wentz didn't look like a top 20 quarterback and look foolish for saying so. But I don't know him to be a guy who spends a lot of time trying to throw people off the scent. Now, obviously, they have some incentive. They don't want Odell Beckham Jr. to think that they have been seriously talking about a trade this year. And maybe they'll be able to explain themselves if somebody blows them away with a trade. I just think that they would consider it, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe maybe they're sold on how dynamic this offense can be if they can figure out a way to get him the ball and have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt for a full year. Austin Hooper, Jarvis-Landry. It should be a really difficult offense to defend if the right coach is calling the plays.
All right, assuming that he's healthy after the surgery that he had, you want to see him on this team at least one more year?
Beckham?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess barring a really good haul and a trade. If somebody on draft day, which I don't expect to happen, said, we'll trade you number one for Odell Beckham, I would really be I'd lean heavily toward doing it. But short of that, yeah, I would like to see. He was more, somebody referred to him as, having him on your team as like death by paper cut. There's never the one big incident that makes you say, we can't have this guy in the locker room. There's never the season where he underperforms so badly that you say it's not worth it. So his numbers last year were not great. He never really hit it off with Mayfield. If you like the way he was in the locker room, and only these coaches know how he was based on their contacts in the league, then I could see why you'd want to give that a chance one more time.
All right, this is a draft with a lot of wide receivers, including K.J. Hill of Ohio State. There's some others out there. They do need a third receiver. You got one that everybody knows about. That's Rashard Higgins. He's still a free agent. And there you see 27 receptions in his first year with the Browns, 39 in the second, and just 4 last year, only 11 targets. And is he somebody that, you can't say, well, he knows the system because it's new to everybody, but is he somebody you'd like to see have another look at?
I would like to see another look at him, Les, because I think last year, in addition to injury, I think he had a complete falling out with the head coach. Now, maybe that was his fault that was allowed to happen, that it got to that point. but I don't think Kitchens cared for his attitude. I don't think he liked him, and I don't think he wanted to play him. So, based on what we saw from Higgins the year before, and when he did get into a game last year, I think it was the Buffalo game, right, that they won with a game-winning touchdown.
Yep.
I thought he was really showing signs of improvement, and yes, I would like to see him one more year.
All right, they talk about the depth of this draft for wide receivers. You might see two guys that got a lot of ink recently. Laviska Shenault Jr. is one. There you see it out of Colorado, 6'2", 220, 56 catches, 4 touchdowns in 2019. Underwent core muscle surgery last month. That's apparently the same that Odell Beckham had. 40-yard dash time is 4.58 seconds. Let's look to the next name to watch out for, K.J. Hamler. K.J. Hamler from Penn State. Big Ten people got to see him a lot. And also a punt and kick returner. Second team All-Big Ten in 2019. 5'9" and 176. Not very big. Those are some names to watch out for in the upcoming draft. Northeast Factory Direct. They've got 3 great locations, plus the website. You got to check that first, northeastfactorydirect.com. East, West, and South. And, of course, you see them at West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and Freeway Drive. That's in Macedonia, all from Northeast Factory Direct. First place I'm going to go when things start getting going with restaurants and all, first place I'm going, either lunch or dinner 2 days in a row, or 3 days, maybe 4. Sokolowski's University and the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award. They deserve your support, and when it's ready to go, we'll let you know when they open it up. Established in 1923. Bud Shaw and I return in a moment. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone for up to half off and never replace your garage flooring again. Cracked, uneven garage floors are dangerous. Thin paints and poly coatings you can do yourself are slippery, peel, and don't correct problems. Why pay for a floor that won't last? Only a professionally installed Nature Stone garage floor is safe and corrects problems that paints can't. And Nature Stone comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, so there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at naturestone.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Time to turn to an oldie but goodie. How come deer know where to cross? It's short, Bud.
It is short. It meets the criteria of brevity.
Yeah.
It loses a little bit in unoriginality.
Originality because we use it a lot?
Because I've heard it, yeah, a few times. But other than that, it's right to the point.
Right to the point. That's all you need to do. Let's check out your buddy Devin in Concord is standing by. We'll get to him in a minute. We've got a Facebook question of the day and answers to that. If you had your choice of offensive tackles, who would you want the Browns to draft? Larry Pantages said, since there's no Dorsey, Highsmith, or Wolf to make the pick, I like whoever Bill Callahan wants. That's a good point. Ted Moon, my approach would be Wirfs from Iowa first, then Thomas from Georgia. I started buying into the Becton camp, but even if he's not guilty, he's using bad judgment. So that's an auto out for me, at least until the second round. Well, he's not going to be there at the second round. Andy Mees, Andrew Thomas, since he has familiarity run blocking for Nick Chubb during their days together at Georgia, so it shouldn't take too much time for the run game to gel, which is crucial for a rookie head coach. Carl St. John has the right answer, bud. Joe Thomas.
Yeah, that would be nice. I bet you one thing, Les. If Joe Thomas were available in the draft right now, he'd be the first tackle taken.
You think?
Ahead of Trent Williams too. If Trent were. Hey, Les, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I want Devin's input on this. There's a website or a Twitter feed now called Room Rater, RATER. Because so many people are doing virtual stuff, Zoom and Skype and everything from their home, this app rates the background behind them. Oh. So I would like to know what you guys think of my background.
What do you got there? You got books?
I've got books. I've got baseballs. I've got baseball gloves and a ball in it, and a file cabinet and a scorecard from Augusta National. Which I think should at least put me up in the 8-9 in a range.
Do you have the ball that the identical twins hit out of the park on you?
No, those could not be chased down, either one of them.
Let's go to Concord for Devin. Hello, Devin. Where you been?
What's up, guys? How you been?
Good. How about yourself?
All right, Devin.
Just hanging in. I hope you guys are all well over there, you and your families.
How's the wall behind Bud look? You impressed?
Yeah, I was almost half expecting him to say, "It puts the lotion in the basket." Remember the background from that movie, or no? Am I just got tumbleweeds and crickets going right now?
I love the cricket stuff, whether I know it or not.
Don't you remember Silence of the Lambs?
Oh. Yeah. I didn't know we were going to go back.
In the basket. Remember, he's telling the girl.
You just use a reference that nobody out there knows anymore.
Oh, come on! By the way, that's a trivia question. Name the only Academy Award-winning movie that was in the horror genre.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Bates Motel never made it?
No.
Psycho?
Yeah. No. So I figured you guys would know that one. By the way, Bud, I'm not seeing like A Tale of Two Cities and Ulysses. I'm seeing like Cat in the Hat back there. Is that what? Run Dog Go or Go Dog Go? Is that what I'm working back there? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's a valid.
Hey, but Les, this is your favorite time of year here, the NFL draft.
Yes, and I'll be hosting the draft on Thursday.
You got to be loving this stuff.
Well, let me just tell you something. Every time there's a pandemic situation, I got to get as much work as I can get in. So I'll be doing. No, wait a minute. I seriously not trying to make fun. I don't want to hear people complaining. But I could use the word.
You were just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. I understand.
Nothing funny about. I'm all for humor and nothing funny about this.
No, God, no.
Devin, you always have very strong opinions about the draft. So what's the strong opinion this year?
A couple of things, really, and everyone just is saying, got to get a left tackle, got to get a left tackle. We had the best left tackle in football for 10 years, and we didn't win a game, I mean, so that position.
He's not wrong.
Everyone put so much value at it, and what did it do for us for 10 years?
Could you imagine how we would have been if we didn't have him?
Right. But I understand it, but I mean, I can't. New England's went to 9 Super Bowls. I can't remember one of their left tackles.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know one of them. I mean, Matt Light, I think, if the guy was out of.
You there?
I mean, I'd love to see Isaiah Simmons drop, but I don't see that happening. You know what I can see them doing? You guys were talking about Odell going and all that stuff. I can see them going wide out because it would be a value pick.
With number 10?
Locked up for 4 years. You'd have a quality guy because there's no way that they're happy with 2 wideouts making all that money, taking up all that space in cap space.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that's true, except if you buy into the fact that they really want to make a run for it now, you're better off having those guys, having the returnees.
Right. Yeah, I know. And then the other thing is, I could see them getting the guy from Washington, Williams, and then moving elsewhere because they have no safeties. I mean, they have none, and they have no linebackers, none. I mean, they
that's
have to address
a
those
weak
two
on
positions.
paper. That's such a weak part of the defense or part of the team. They still have money they can spend though. I don't know what's available. Something might shake out when once the picks are made and everybody looks and says, "All right, we didn't quite fit every need." I expect some wheeling and dealing.
So where are you guys in this deep Podesta Berry camp? Are you guys like, oh my God, no? Or are you guys like, I really think these guys have a clue?
No, I want to be sold. Right now, I don't have any feeling one way or the other. Bud, how about you?
I'm not anti either guy. I think that there's a real special set of circumstances, and I think Deep Podesta was very upfront with Jimmy Haslam about what he had in mind, and Haslam just couldn't stomach it. And I'm not saying that they didn't blow picks, and I had a problem with the fact that they were, in my estimation, tearing it down to an extent that they didn't have to tear it down. But I think both guys are pretty bright, and I think if they're working together, and the talent on this team now suggests you have to try to win, I'd like to see what they can do.
Devin, we gotta move along. The clock is still ticking, and you know how I am with clock management. I've applied for that position
You are
again.
the master of clock management.
Absolutely. Got to go.
Somebody
Stay safe out there, please. 216-575-0403. Thursday night, the More Sports and Les-Levine draft special coming your way starting at 8 o'clock on Thursday. Join me and Dave Bacon. The cleveland.com staff will join us. We'll break down the draft starting at 8 o'clock. The first pick coming up at 8:15. You can also call us if you can't get to us on the show from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You got 23 more hours a day, plus weekends, when you can call 216-200-6650. It's the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Call any time of the day. We'll leave a message, and we'll get to it on the air. We'll take a break. We're coming back one more time. We may have some quickies or two. More Sports and Les-Levine continues with Bud Shaw exclusively on cleveland.com.
You love it, always wanted it, and there's never been a better time to get Nature Stone than during our Spring Weather Breaker sale. We're breaking spring sales records with up to half off beautiful Nature Stone garage floors, patios, porches, and more. Correct cracked, uneven concrete that thin paints and poly coatings can't. Every Weather Breaker savings comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, and there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at naturestone.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, that'll be tomorrow night, the draft special on Thursday. We haven't had Tom Withers in a while. We'll have him on Monday night. 216-575-0403. Let's go first to Bob, who's in Chagrin Falls.
Hey, man, Dennis Maniloff.
Hey, Bob, go ahead.
Hello. Thursday. We haven't had Tom Withers in a
You got to turn the TV down in the background, please. I'm
trying to turn it down, so I'm gonna leave the room.
Oh, well, nice talking to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob from Bryn Falls has left the room.
He's left the bill. Elvis is following. Yeah.
Les, I'm in another room. I hope that I tried to turn it down when I knew you were going to answer. Listen, I have some information about yours and Bud's favorite Browns linebacker.
Okay.
That you probably weren't aware of.
What's that? Who's that and what's that?
His favorite side dish is couscous.
Is it Taki Taki?
I'd let you know.
Taki Taki from likes couscous?
Yeah, he likes couscous.
Oh. Is he from New York, New York?
Listen, I want to thank you for your imaginative programming during this dead period, and I look forward to you every night at 6.
I appreciate that very much, Bob.
God bless you.
Same to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good to talk to you. Oh, we get a compliment like that. If he wants to talk with the TV on, that's fine.
Hey, look, when you come with a couscous line for Taki Taki, that's gold. If he had turned that into a How Come Quickie, I would have given him a 9.0.
Let me think about that. Oh, how about he moved there from Walla Walla?
Yeah.
But I just thought you weren't aware that his favorite side dish was couscous.
All right. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
I initially thought it was going to be a Tom Cousineau thing, but I didn't understand.
Yeah.
All
right. This I can verify this is absolutely true. This How Come Quickie from Stewart. How come the only function of your little toe is to assure your furniture is in place? I kicked furniture, not on purpose, and walked into it. I know exactly how Stewart feels on this. I should have called a tow truck. Bob from Akron.
8.5.
Mine or his? Oh, Stewart.
His.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come
That's pretty good.
This is from Bob from Akron. How come the Browns' plans for the defense should be safety first, never cut corners, and always cover their backs? Not funny, but good word usage.
Yeah, there's certain ones that I can't say I like, but I can say I don't hate.
You've been lenient. You've been very lenient the last couple of weeks.
Listen, I know people are sitting at home. They're starting to get frustrated. I have some empathy for them. So I'm gonna start grading on a much friendlier scale.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
In fact, I should just start doing pass-fail.
I don't know where Mr. Gullible is tonight, but I know where John Patrick is. How come when my doctor said I could only have one drink a day, I bought bigger glasses? Our first pass-fail.
I saw that one coming. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true. It goes against the Bud Shaw golden rule. Ones with the gold rule. Okay.
Exactly.
You got about a minute. Anything you'd like to say, or you want to deflect it to me, and we each have a half a minute?
We didn't get to the the machinations. Is that a word that baseball's trying to go through to salvage a season? Now the latest, I think, is that Texas could be involved. What worries me about this? Yeah, what worries me about this, Les, is these medical experts, the epidemiologists, who are now suggesting that maybe there could be a second wave of this stuff coming. Later maybe that's not until the fall. Maybe baseball doesn't have to worry about that, but. That worries me. If some of these states are starting to open up and there's going to be fans involved in Texas or in Georgia, apparently that they're going to open up massage parlors, tattoo parlors, and bowling alleys starting Friday or something. That worries me.
Is that something you do on a date? You go to 3 different places?
I lived in Georgia for 6 years, and that was never part of the night out, but. I'm just worried that
massage parlors are not an essential business.
Apparently, they're deciding they are. I just don't know how they can keep a 6-foot social distance at either a tattoo parlor or a massage parlor. But my concern is that baseball's only chance this year is going to be without fans, and I know that you have to do what you have to do sometimes, but that just seems. like not a very satisfying way to play a season.
How about a walk-off home run? That's kind of hard to celebrate that at home plate.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think players feel it. Players sometimes complain when they get booed by hometown fans and everything, but I think they understand they're going to be missing a big part of it.
We got to go here, but you know how much I love baseball, but I just don't like the idea of having people out there wait what I think is way too early. But
yeah, I mean, you feel like if it's not safe for fans, I know they can take some precautions, but is it really safe for your players? It doesn't feel like it would be.
All right, Bud, thanks as always. We'll see you next week. Bud Shaw does a great job for us and anybody else. We appreciate him very, very much. That'll do it for us tonight. The D-Man Dennis Maniloff tomorrow, the draft show 8 o'clock on Thursday. Tom Withers on Monday. It's not news until Tom Withers says it's news. We'll see you tomorrow night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.